You are live.
So we're good there, huh?
Yep, you are live.
Well, hello. Action needed. We okay with that?
Yeah, we're good.
I'd probably do better just to listen to you and just say, look, we're live, so we're good to go.
We're
Well,
live.
well, good. Well, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. It is 12:00. Look at that. 12 noon. I'm on time. I was early today. And that's what I'm talking about. So hope everybody had a good holiday weekend. Um, Easter, Resurrection Sunday. I got to go to a really uh, lot of events, I should say, I guess, around our city the last couple weekends, whether it was Easter egg hunts and uh, church activities and events in our city. I think there was something like the last 3 weeks in a row. So I really, really, really had a good time just being out and about, and it's so good to see people back out, and especially kids back out enjoying themselves. I think I went to 5 events on Saturday, just this past Saturday, and I got to see. There was a bowling event up at City Center. There were two or three uh, Easter egg hunts where I saw kids involved, and then I got to stop by and see a little bit of baseball, t-ball, and girls softball at a ball field here in our city. So I just had a really good time last couple days, last couple weekends, I should say, here in the month of April, and yeah, it was just good. It was just good to be able. Now I'll tell you what I don't get is the weather. It goes up and down. I'm out one day and I'm having fun, and man, it feels really good. And the next day it's like, my gosh, where's my winter coat? But that was just really good. So I hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. I hope you're able to spend time with your families and people just getting together and just enjoying each other. That's important. So I just wanted to start out with that. I was going to ask, hey, make sure that somebody just chimes in and says, Chief, we can hear you. If we have any problems with if it breaks up or any problems with sound, please let me know. Um, we're in our new studio here now up in our media relations office. I just want to make sure that message is getting across. So what I'll do is I'll go through. I'll try to keep up with each message that comes in. Try to acknowledge those that are sending in, and if I miss someone, I'm telling you, please charge it to my heart. I apologize. If messages go, or if there's a glitch. But if you do ask a question or a comment and I don't respond to you or don't get back to you, we will do it offline. But it's important to me that we set aside this time to interact with you. My hope is that we'll share information, have good conversation, update you on some things that the police department's doing, kind of where we're at and what's coming up as we start fastly approaching the summer. I'll talk to you a little bit about staffing. We'll talk a little bit about crime. We'll talk about gun violence, and then any issues that you bring up. If anybody asks a question about a case, I'll try to be as open and transparent as I can. I don't want to hurt any investigation, so there may be some things that I can't, but I'll share some things with you. We had a bad carjacking over the weekend that ended in a good arrest by great teamwork, great technology, sharing information. Our victim was just an outstanding witness to what happened. It just all came together. But it talks about I think that case kind of covers how much the chiefs in the region are focusing on gun violence. We're pouring in resources to address those issues, and the use of technology has been a tremendous benefit for us. So let me start by saying some hellos. Isabella, it's good to hear. What's up, Chief? What's up? How are you? It's good to see you. Thanks for being here today. Christina, it's good to have you. Thank you. Megan, I love that you do this and that you're available to the public. Thank you for your compassion. Megan, I appreciate that. I'm going to stop there for a second. I will tell you, when we started this a couple years ago, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Everything I'm used to is you go to a meeting and you have 20 or 30 people and you have a community meeting and you talk about issues. And I still think there's a place for that. Face-to-face is important. But our media relations staff, Kelly and Julie and Sarah, they talked about, look, you can reach so many people, and sometimes people can't commit to a whole meeting, and then they can watch it at different times and chime in. So I was like, I don't know if people will watch this, right? But I think it has been very beneficial. It's another way to share information. I know life moves so fast, so if you're able to watch some of it or chime in or catch some of it later, if you're really, really bored, right? But I do. It's a little awkward to talk into this little round ball with a blue eye. But I appreciate those that take time, and I think it is important to be open and transparent, to have conversations. So I enjoy it. But I'm still, you know, like I'll try to. They're like, Chief, don't touch nothing. They can't. Yeah, so I'm working at it. But Megan, thank you. Rhea, how are you? I hope all is well. Good to see you. Robin, good afternoon, Chief. I received the police patch in the mail yesterday. Thank you so much. I appreciate adding to my hero scrap. Robin, you're very, very welcome. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for the gift that you sent us. And I was wondering if that had reached you, so that is fantastic. Thank you very much. Loud, loud and clear. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Jennifer, thank you. Sometimes, look, I'll be talking, and somebody will send a message in like, "Chief, we can't even hear you. Is the volume on? Or I unplugged something, right? Or I kicked something by accident." So I appreciate you letting me know that at least at least we're communicating. Mr. Barnes, my friend, it is a great day. Thank you so much. I hope you are well. Hope you had a great holiday. I hope you're going to spend time with your family. I just appreciate everything you do for this city and the conversations that we have, sir. I appreciate that. Anna Wayland, good afternoon, Chief. How are you? Your voice sounds different. I guess it's your new set. Oh, now, does anybody else think I sound different? Man, I tell you, I had a good night's sleep. This is a good day. I'm excited. You know, yet last night, oh, I should say yesterday evening, the city had its kind of celebration for groups and entities that do things in our community and our city. And one group, there were really two groups that kind of struck me. One was the young adult police commissioners, our high school kids that we work with, and the other was the mayor's youth commission. So there are kids in high school, right, that are trying to make things better in our community, our city. It's our future leaders, and I just really, really had a good time. We were at I'm going to say this wrong, the Trogler Center at CNU, the newest building they have there. It's a beautiful glass building, and let me tell you, the artwork that was there. I took some of the youth up there, and we looked at the art, right, and it was like just I'm telling you, if they'd have had music playing in that gallery, I'd have fell asleep. The things they did with light and motion, it was like shadows on a wall, and it was amazing. Anybody gets the opportunity to go by there. It's the newest addition to CNU. There's 3 art galleries. They are completely beautiful, from the pictures to the lighting display and how it's amazing. So I would encourage anyone, if you get an opportunity to go by there, it's open to the public. It's just a great event. So Anna, I don't know, does my voice sound high or does it sound low? But it's still me. But I appreciate that. I'm glad you're here. Let's see, Jennifer, what's going on? Michael Z case after the march you guys did April 1. Michael Z case. What's going on with the Michael Z case after the march you guys did on April 1? Is that from last year? The case that we had down in where the family came down from Brooklyn.
Yes.
It came down from New York. So we did do a walk. That case is a case that happened some years ago. There were some calls that have come in. Detectives are following up, but nothing that I would certainly put out here on information. Yeah. So the detectives are in touch with the family. You know, some calls did come in, some people that may have heard something or do something, but nothing that I could release or nothing that I would release at this point about. What I can tell you, it was great to have that family down here. And then people from the community that came out, and the number of officers that showed up, and I didn't require anybody. I just said I would meet them there and we would walk and have some conversation. So, but the number of officers came, the number of homicide detectives that came out there, I hope that the community and that family realize and see how much that we care about individuals who suffer loss in this city, that they matter. They are not just a number on a file stacked somewhere in a shelf, that they are people, it's community, it's an individual, it's a family, and it affects all of us. So I was really touched by the number of outpouring, not only from our community, but from the officers here themselves, the detectives that showed up and walked that neighborhood with us. That's a great question, Jennifer. Thank you very much. Annette, good afternoon. It's good to have you with us today. He sounds like he has sinuses are bothering him. The pollen is wreaking havoc. Sinuses. What do I sound like? Kelly, do I got like a do I sound sinusy? I'll tell you what. Let's see what happens. Maybe it's because I haven't had a dose of Diet Mountain Dew yet. Does that sound any better? Debbie, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for being on. Thank you so much for all you do for our city. Haven't been in Newport News in a while. Hope to get back soon. Mallory, I hope you do. And please, when you get back into the city, let me know you're here. I'd love to see you. Say hello to you. But yes, that sounds great. Latoya, how are you? I hope all is well. Hope you had a great holiday over the last couple days. It's been a great month in the month of April as we move closer and closer to the summer. I just wish we got to tell the weather. We're getting closer and closer to the summer, right? It keeps going up and down. Krista, the events on Saturday came very close to where my church was having our Easter block party in Portsmouth. Wait, sorry, I said a glitch. Hold on a second.
There you go.
The events on Saturday came very close to where my church was having our Easter block party in Portsmouth. Thankfully, my son is a volunteer firefighter in Carrollton. Thank you for his service. And he had a scanner with him. We were able to move the kids inside for an event. Then when things settled, we went back outside. Thank you for all responding cities. One of the things Chris is talking about, if you're not familiar, we had a carjacking in our city. A female was carjacked. There were 5 individuals involved. I believe they showed up in a vehicle. The carjacking took place. So the vehicle that was carjacked and then the suspect vehicle, 2 different vehicles. I want to tell you, the response from our patrol officers, the technology that we had, we were able to catch the things on video to share that information. The pursuit ensued. We found both vehicles, and then there were some pursuits of both vehicles, and our partners across the water. Right. So I want to be clear. Norfolk, Suffolk, Virginia Beach, Portsmouth, Hampton, Newport News, and Chesapeake have a great working relationship. And all of us, not only our mayors, but our city government and our police department share information. And the number one thing that we're focusing on right now is reducing violent crime, reducing gun violence. So to get the quick response, how important that case was, I will tell you all those agencies, all those cities, the state police, all of that just did an amazing job. I want you to know that both vehicles were recovered. The individuals were taken into custody. I'm concerned with some of the juveniles that took part in that. But I want to send a strong message. If you partake in that world, if that's the type of activity you're going to be involved in, it only ends in a couple ways. Retaliation, if you're engaging in gun violence against another person or another group or individual, that stuff comes around. You put yourself and you put your family and the people who love you in danger. The second is incarceration, that you come in contact with the police department or you come in contact with a judge and a jury or Commonwealth Attorney's office and you find yourself wasting years of your life incarcerated for a stupid act of picking up a firearm and doing some type of violence. And what is the third? That you're no longer here. That others are attending your funeral. It is not a video game. It is not something we're taking lightly in Newport News of the 7 cities. Gun violence is a problem that we are going to respond to and act to proactively and reactively. And I'm telling you, this is not the city and this is not the region to partake in that type of activity. We're not going to tolerate that in our communities. And I want to be very open and transparent with you. Our citizens, our youth in this city, in this region matter to all of us. They matter to me. And it is a commitment from our mayor, our city council, our city manager, and this department that we are not going to tolerate gun violence in this city. And I know the other jurisdictions join in that message. So I didn't mean to get off on that, but I'm just telling you, it bothers me, it frustrates me, it hurts me when I see people using gun violence against others individuals. It's not a video game. It's not a video game. And we will not respond to it as such. Chief, please consider attending as many school senior award ceremonies as possible. The students would love to have you there. I appreciate that. My plan is to attend all of the graduations and here in Newport News. I'll do my very best. A couple years ago, they were at I think it was at the Coliseum, and I went to all of the graduations. And then last couple years, they've been open at Todd Stadium. I've been there to the graduations. I try to hit all of them. So yeah, I will try to do as much as I can. I think it's important. Our youth matter to me. So that's a great point, so thank you. Faith, good afternoon. Faith, appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Dr. Pepper. Wait. So I hope most people know that are tuned in today that I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm not a Coca-Cola or Pepsi. I'm not a Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi. I'm not an A&W root beer or Dr. Pepper. My drink of choice is Diet Mountain Dew. And my friend just posted Dr. Pepper. I don't even think we need to go any further in that conversation. All right, I don't even. Matter of fact, Sarah, the next time we got to do something where the background is like a big Diet Mountain Dew or something like that. Latoya, I appreciate that. Thank you, Mallory. Oh, thanks, Chief. I'll come out when you meet and get up some pictures. That'd be great. It would be my honor, Mallory. I'd love to see you. Isabel, the kids don't think that they're. Wait, those kids don't think what they doing that. That's why they have to teach them young. Yeah, I think it starts. All of us play a role. Social media is different now today than it was. I didn't have some of those issues growing up. If I remember elementary school, middle school, if two individuals got into a scuffle or a fight or argument, it was over. The next day it's over. Today it's in social media and it just lingers out there in the cloud, wherever that is. And people comment and they bring it back up again. And it's a real challenge. I think our churches, our schools, the police department, mentors, our citizens, even our seniors, all of it have to play a role, right? It takes a village to not to tolerate that behavior. And you're right, it does have to start out early on. But at some point, people have to be held accountable for the choices they make. So I hope that all of us together, I do believe we can address gun violence. I believe that we can. I believe that we have to focus on those individuals that pick up a firearm and use it to harm others. And I will tell you, I have sat in numerous interviews and watched kids who on the street, right, who with a firearm in their hand and they're hard, or they project it. But in a room where they're being interviewed, they're breaking down in tears and saying, I didn't know, I didn't mean it, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't want that. And their mother or father comes in and they're crying. So why go down that road in the first place? I care about the youth of this city. I care about the people who live in this community, who work here, who raise families. And there's no room for violence. None of us deserve to be victims. I just think the more of us that get on board with that take ownership of our communities, our neighborhoods, that report behavior that we think might be suspicious, I think that's how we address it. Our juries, our judges, our Commonwealth attorneys, our police department, that we're just not going to tolerate that here. Not in this city. Not in this city. Christine, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It seems like the kids are getting younger and younger when it comes to crime, and that I would agree with you. Maybe one of the things we'll talk about later today, the number of youth that we see involved in some of the crimes. And I don't think they just wake up and start that. I think there's things that start early on. Some petty crimes. There's all kinds of studies out there that talk about how to observe or intercede or foresee behavior if it's not addressed at an early age. And there's a lot of entities. We'll talk a little bit about our department, our city survey about crime in our area that may highlight some of that. And what are the entities out there that focus on youth and early age? Where are our kids the most at that age? They're at home. Hopefully they're involved in some type of activity. There are schools and our churches. To me, that's where I would start. Christine, thank you. I appreciate that. Roderick, thanks for that message to our youth. Mr. Barnes, thank you. And I didn't say anything that you haven't talked to me about and we haven't shared. So I appreciate our conversation. That means a lot. And I appreciate that. Ms. Cox, good afternoon. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Mountain Dew has vegetable as a nigger. Latoya, don't give away the secrets. Don't give away the secrets. Mallory, hey, there you go. See, now I have to have Mallory. Let's see. Tiffany, can we talk about cold cases, specifically clear and code? No, I cannot. I can tell you that we are moving very well. I feel like we're in a good spot. But I can't open up and talk about any particulars in that case. That case is still open. That case is moving forward. I can tell you this. I am very confident where we are at in that case. We will solve that case. I got to leave it at that or I'll get myself in trouble. But the work that the detectives done, the Commonwealth attorneys, family members, community, technology, we will solve that case. Isabella, can you scroll up just a little bit?
Yeah.
I didn't have when I was coming up, and now look at the general. Right, phones and tablets. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just the technology and how things are at the touch of our hand, how quick people can see things going on around the country and other cities. I will tell you, one of the issues we had at a school shooting we had in our city is we prepare, we train, and the officers did exactly what we trained for, and we had jurisdictions coming from everywhere. Sheriff's Department, Newport News Police, Hampton Police, federal agencies, state police, departments coming across the water. But you know, the one things we didn't anticipate was that kids in a school, with a touch of a button, can send a message to their parents. And we had such an influx of parents as we're trying to lock a school down and protect the kids that are inside, or perhaps move the children, move our youth. We had an influx of parents trying to get into the school. And that created some, and how did they, well, you know what? They got the message from Facebook and social media and Instagram and all those things. So, yeah, it's just social media is such a game changer that we have to work around and deal with. So yeah, that's a real challenge. It's very different from, I'm not trying to date myself, but it's very different from when I was growing up, right? Cheryl, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Anna, gummy bears. Annie giving my secrets away. We need more activities for our youth. I would agree. I love to open up a day. You know, Mallory, I think you're right, and I think that is the answer. I think it's more activities that we can put our youth in. You know, and one of the reasons I brought up Saturday, I was going to a couple events. I went to some Easter egg hunts down at Hilton, beautiful event. I knew I was going to one in New Market, then I was going to go down to King Lincoln Park and see the kids there. And then I wanted to meet with Black Lives Matter up in City Center as a little march, a protest against bullying, right? And I had about an hour time frame, so I'm driving. And I see these kids out playing baseball and t-ball and softball, and I'll tell you, I just stopped and spent a little bit of time at each game, just watched the kids interact, said hello. I didn't know anyone playing. I didn't know anyone in the stands. It was just me. I do have a love for baseball, but to see kids out and families out, it was just really touching, and I really interacted. If you go to our Facebook page, somebody, I don't know who did it. I'm going to find out. I have some words with them, right? But they might have got, they might have got some photographs or maybe some video of me trying to hit a baseball off of tee and getting thrown out at first base. If you see the video, I'd love your comments because I think I beat that throw. The 5-year-old who threw the ball to the 5-year-old first baseman, I think the umpire. I think I missed the. I think I got to the base first. If anybody goes on our Facebook page and sees that, I love your comments because I think I beat the throw out. If instant replay was in that, it would have been there on that play. But I just had a great time interacting with the kids, the softball teams, and talking to the parents. And parents are like, Chief, we're glad you're out. And it wasn't for any other reason, just to enjoy families and youth and a beautiful day. So I was very blessed. Some children are actually being raised by phones and tablets. Christine, I think you're right. I think sometimes we don't monitor what our kids see and things that websites they go on and stuff in this. And I'm talking way above my head now, but like group chats where different groups are talking, people are talking, sharing. I just think we have to be careful of that. Yeah, Tiffany, I agree, and I apologize. Forgive me, but I wouldn't want to put anything out that would hurt the case. But I'm telling you this: we will solve that case. We will solve that case. How does the city of Newport News enforce? How does it enforce community policing? Well, I don't know that we can enforce it. I don't know that I'd want to enforce it. I don't want to make someone, but I tell you, we encourage it. I'll give you a couple. See, you got me. You opened up a door I love to talk about. So. How do we encourage community policing? That is a foundation of this police department. It starts with every individual that I interview that wants to join this police department. I talk about 3 pillars. One, I run the department like a family, not like a military organization, not like a business where it's I want to know people's names and I want to know about their family, and I run it like a family. We don't always agree, and no family does. The people that come to work here, they matter to me. And that doesn't matter to me if they're an officer, a dispatcher, or a civilian. People that work and choose this profession, I know the hours they put in. I know what they give up. It's not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And I know the things they see. Then they go home and get a good night's sleep, and they come back and do the same thing the next day. They see how we can be mean to each other. They can see what communities can do. What one person can do in a shooting, or someone who loses someone to a homicide or a traffic fatality or injuries. I know what they see. Then they go home to their families to get a good night's sleep and come back and do it the next day. And society expects them to get it right 100% of the time. And I would submit to you that that's unfair. I don't know another profession that wears body-worn cameras 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It records everything they do, every interaction. We accept that. And we try to do better and improve every day. And we're better today than we were yesterday, and we're going to be better tomorrow than we are today. But we make it a culture here in the Newport News Police Department about community policing. Here's a couple ways. If you want to get promoted to this organization, when you come in for an interview, you got to bring 2 letters of recommendation from community. On our 3-person interview panel, when I first came here as chief, the interview would be between me and the individual that wants to be a sergeant or lieutenant or a captain. Today it is a 3-member panel, and one of the individuals is a member of the community. We have a use of force review board where we review every use of force, whether it's physical, chasing after someone and we have to tackle them, or there's some type of fight or altercation, whether we use our ASP or OC spray, a taser, whatever it might be, we show that video in its entirety. Not the 30 seconds it makes its own way to Facebook and everybody comments because they think they know what happened, but the full 5 or 6 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes because they hear the conversations before. And the citizens, that panel, right, that use of force review board that we have is made up of 5 citizens and 4 officers. That's 9. And unless my math is wrong, there's no way there can be a tie. 5 citizens and 4 officers. And the 4 officers are an officer, a sergeant, a lieutenant, and a captain. And the reason I use those different ranks is I want our department to learn. I want an officer to see what questions citizens ask. I want a sergeant to see how we can better prepare a roll call and talk about things that when we talk about force. And I want our captains and lieutenants to look at it from a bigger picture and how do we train. In that same room, we have our training division, our instructors. And the citizens and the members on that committee can ask that group what any question they want. Our officers come to that and can answer and respond to questions from our citizens and other officers. And they tell why they did what they did. That's hard to write that down in just a report, but it's hard to get that emotion. I felt this, I saw this, I thought this, I was concerned about that. We have a master police officer program. It used to consist of taking extra classes and getting a specialty and training. And training is great, but we're going to focus on training anyway. I've changed that process. We give a 5% pay increase for master police officers here, and one of the requirements is 30 hours of working in the community, and I'm going to pay them overtime to do it. So if they come to work with the Boys and Girls Club, if they come to community walks, if they're interacting with youth at Easter egg hunts, if they're coming to high school football games, basketball games, baseball games, if they're coming to tennis events, if they're working with the YMCA, if they're working with transitions or other entities that deal with community, that's what I push. And I believe it starts from the top down, that if the chief and the assistant chiefs, the command staff are interacting with our community, if we're walking in our neighborhoods, we're saying hello to people, we're having I'm going to mess the word up, but not where we're dispatched to call, but we're just on our own interacting with our community, right? That we're walking in our neighborhoods. That's important to me, and I think it makes a difference. I think it makes a difference in how our community reacts, our trust, the transparency, that they feel comfortable with us, and then we show the benefits. We bring outside instructors. Instead of having an officer talk about autism, what if we brought a family member in whose son or daughter might suffer from autism? That's how we embrace community policing in our culture, that we attack problems from a spectrum of resources, not just what can police do, but maybe if we increase lighting, maybe if we remove more trash, maybe if we had human services involved in some of the things that go on in our communities and our neighborhoods. We partner with our schools. The last thing I'll say is our Menchville girls this year, Menchville High School girls basketball team won the state championship. And do you know that team in the school asked, can our school resource officer go with us up to Richmond to play in the final game? High school students. We have a young adult police commissioner program. That's a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior from every high school in our city. They're here right now. Today's a half day of school, and there's 24 high school students downstairs interacting with police officers. They're doing a tour of our building, looking at some of the technology. We meet every Wednesday, all year long, and we do things in the community. They go to city council meetings. They do police interviews with me. They walk in the communities with me. We have discussions about diversity and equality. We talk about compassion. We talk about how world problems from their eyes, how they see it, and they help us bridge the gap between us and you. You got me fired up on that. That's a great topic. And I hope that if someone graduates college, high school, coming out of the military, and they want to join this department, if you do any research at all, any promotion ceremony, award ceremony, graduation ceremony, memorial service, national night out, I promise you, at about minute 10, every guest speaker is a high school student. And I do that to show the youth of this city that they matter to me. But there's another group that I'm trying to show that they matter to me. And that's the men and women who wear this uniform. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes our youth drive me crazy. That is our future. And all of us had help growing up, whether it was a youth pastor, a school teacher, a coach, someone on the neighborhood street that looked out for us, that helped us, our parent, whoever it might be, uncle, aunt, whoever it might be, an older brother, older sister, a Boys and Girls Club, YMCA. I think that's how we move forward, and that is a foundation and culture for us. I hope that answered your question, Ms. Hughes. Recreation plays a big part. Absolutely, Mr. Barnes. We've had that. Absolutely. Lorraine, thank you for all your. Lorraine, thank you so much. Thanks for being here, joining me today. I appreciate that. That this is true. You're right about that. Thank you, Isabella. I appreciate that. Shaking my. Amy, thank you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate that. It means a lot. Keith, you were clearly out. Keith, obviously you did not look at the right angle. And I saw that my friend John Cohane made a point to talk about, I did play baseball in college. And I saw that Mr. Cohane, my friend, made some comments about my technique. That was a classic Pete Rose stance. That base hit was right up the middle. That 5-year-old young man playing pitcher he made a lucky play on that, and I still say I was safe. We're gonna get it blown up. Matter of fact, Sarah, we're gonna send that video to the FBI. We're gonna blow that up. We're gonna get that our Major League Baseball. We'll get an official ruling clearly out. We'll know what video you're looking at, Keith. Mallory would make a great team when it comes to youth and wanting better for them. Movie Honey, I've seen good kids go from bad schools and bad homes and bad again. The more off the streets, the better. They're not open. No, you're absolutely right. And I'll tell you, there's some great groups doing some things. We have a project going on right now, a process, I should say, about safe places. And Pastor Swan and Ivy Baptist Church, Dr. Lee Vreeland and Achievable Dreams, Dr. Parker, Rashard Wright in our school system, police department, Rob Coleman, Boys and Girls Club, are all coming together and trying to find locations where we can have youth come and just interact. If they want to play basketball, if they want to do sports, if they want to hang out and do homework, some mentoring programs, just a safe place for them to be, right, where people care about them. That matters. And all those individuals I named and so many more just play a big role, and I appreciate the influence that they have and the things that they're trying to do with community and youth here. It matters to them, and that's a group that I want to be involved with. That's a group I want to partner with. I think that's a group who gets it, and I appreciate them. But you're absolutely right. Recreation matters, and that I appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you. Looking forward to my first use of force meet, Ms. Brumfield. I look forward to having you. That'll be great. Mr. Barnes, I couldn't say it better. That should be our screensaver. And any person who is on this chat and has attended the Citizens Police Academy, I highly recommend this be found on the police website. Ms. Hughes, thank you. I appreciate that. I hope I didn't go too long on that. I am proud of what this department does. And I think if you ask people, whether it's on some website or interacting with the citizens of this city and Newport News, I hope that one of the things they talk about, the Newport News Police Department embraces community policing. It is not just a phrase that's said behind a podium or here in a session, that you can see it. And I hope you do. Going to see Chief Goodman at his retirement celebration. Any messages to pass on to him? Yes, I saw him regrettably, I saw him at the Henrico officer who lost his life. I attended his funeral a couple weeks ago, and I got to see Chief Goodman. He's a mentor to me. When I had my time in my past agency in Richmond here in Newport News, I just think he is the stellar chief of police, and I wish him all the best. I do not believe that he's going home and sitting down and relaxing for the rest of his life. He's too good of a man and cares too much. He has too much in here to give. So please tell him those comments from me. I think the world of him. He's a mentor to me and has impacted the way that I try to be a chief and serve citizens. And Chief Goodman, Doug, does an amazing job, and I've taken many pages from his playbook. You can share that with him. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate that. Robin, see you on the evening chat. Have a great. Robin, thank you so much. I'll be back. We're going to be back at 6 o'clock. Yes, we have to listen to our youth. They know more than we. Yeah, Mr. Barnes, we talk about that a lot. They do know a lot, and the late days are long gone of what's the old saying from the 20s or something, right? That children should be seen and not heard. They're going to be heard today, right? And we better pay attention to what they're saying. Jessica, would it be possible to have an event where you do children fingerprinting and safety, kind of like the crime dog used to? Jessica, we can certainly look at that. We have a great forensic technician staff here in the police department, so that's something we could look at. Melissa, I was born and raised in Newport News. I never even knew who our chief police were. Thank you for being so visible. Melissa, I appreciate that. I got you. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that. Mallory, that's fair. I'm down to help us getting ready to do online classes through. Whoa. Cincinnati, Middletown, Ohio, to become a counselor and mentor in social work. What do you know about Cincinnati? And the reason I ask you that is that's where I'm from. That's where my family's still at. So when you talk about Cincinnati and Middletown, I know exactly where you're talking about. Wow. Let me touch base a little bit. I want it to be fair of where we're at. Right now, our city is experiencing, Newport News is linear. We have 3 precincts, north, central, south. South precinct is down in just about every single category. They have about a 26% reduction in violent crime. We've put a lot of resources there. It's a great leadership team there under Captain Funiak and the lieutenants that she has, Jamie Good, Lieutenant Webster, and Lieutenant Morgan. They're doing a great job. They have a great crime reduction. Central Precinct and South Precinct are experiencing some spikes in property crime, primarily larcenies, right? Our theft, our shopliftings, those type things. But they're holding their own in violent crime. They don't have the same reductions as the South, but they're holding their own. But their clearance rates are through the roof. I would submit to you they are the best in the state, if not best in the country. And if anyone doesn't know what a clearance rate is, that's where a crime occurs and arrest is made, right? Our clearance rates are well above the national average. One of the news reporters, I believe from Daily Press, has called and wanted to talk a little bit about what those clearance rates look like. And even if they don't, we're going to bring them up because it's huge. And the reason I talk about clearance rates is when crime happens, that it's getting solved, that it's not just a crime happened and it's filed away. The arrests are being made. The FBI collects data from every police department, every sheriff's department in the country. And so Oakland, California, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, Poquoson, Isle of Wight, Newport News, Hampton, Suffolk, you name it. So they collect data and they put together, all right, here's the crime and here's where we're seeing arrests, and they come up with a national average. So every police department wants to be above the national average. So I'll just throw out a number to you. Right now, the FBI says when we have homicides, we should clear half. We should clear 49.8% of the homicides that occur in our city. Last year, we had a 72% clearance rate. 72%. The FBI says the average is 49, 50%. We're at 72. That's how dedicated we are. That's the money we're investing in technology, the training that our detectives have, our aggravated assault, our homicide, our special victims, our domestic violence, where we have 2 outstanding citizens that help us do better with outreach and giving better service to victims and teaching other entities, right, whether it's military and churches, high schools, entities in our community about domestic violence and seeing signs, and if you see something, to say something, because so much of that happens behind closed doors. Removing illegal firearms from our communities, addressing individuals who have firearms that are inflicting harm, the investment that we've had in technology with license plate readers and our shot spotter detection. That is not to eavesdrop on people, right? Some of the entities, chief, we think you're trying to hear what people are saying. That's not it. What I'm trying to do is to address violent crime in our communities. And a great example of that is just what happened on Saturday. How quick we were able to locate those vehicles and arrest the individuals who impacted this community, who took a vehicle by force from another individual, from a female. We're not going to tolerate that. We are going to. I will try to spend every dollar that this city gives me and that we get by grants by trying to reduce violent crime in this community. I'm committed to that. So yes, we've talked about violent crime. We've talked about our crime. We've talked about our clearance rates. We have a cat shortages. There's a couple. I think I'm going to do some interviews, Kelly, next week about staffing. I will tell you, about 7 months ago, we were about 70 officers down. So Newport News is authorized 470 officers. We were about 70 officers down. We just graduated 13. We have a class currently in right now of 27. If you're good at math, 27 and 13, that is 40. Those 27 will graduate in August. We have now started hiring for our class that starts the last week of April. We'll probably have about 30 in that class. I know we already have hired 28. We'll probably have 30. 13, 27, and 30 is 70. That class will graduate in October. I'm feeling really good about our recruiting for officers. Matter of fact, I have a meeting this afternoon. I want to look at our starting salary. I want to make sure that we're leading the way in this city, that we're leading the way in technology, that we're leading the way in training, that we're focusing on that type of stuff, that we want to bring the quality officers to this department. I think that we have the best training academy on the East Coast. But I want to continue to bring in good people. I don't want to sit back and say, all right, we've got it, and 6 months from now, we're short again. But I also got to focus on our dispatchers. Last week was Telecommunicators Week, and our dispatchers do such an amazing job. They are the true first responders of any organization. And that voice that citizens hear on the other line can bring calm. We had a dispatcher just in the last couple of weeks that helped deliver a child. We had a dispatcher that talked to a family about a child who was suffering, a 4-month-old, right? They set the tone. They do an amazing job, and I do not give them enough credit for the stuff that they do in this city. But I got to make sure that we compensate them the right way. And again, I'm just going to say this without showing my hand, right, for those that play cards. What they do is invaluable, and I need to compensate them for what they do. We are not going to be bringing up the rear. We are going to lead in this area. We are going to lead in this Hampton Roads, and I want the dispatchers to know that they're valued. Morgan Tegens and Laura are doing an amazing job down there with our dispatchers, our group. I say down there because they're in the south part of our city. But we got to see, last week was Telecommunicators Week. I am so impressed with them. We sent several videos out. We had a dispatcher of the year. We highlighted things that they do. We're trying to do some things to make it more comfortable, new chairs, new computer screens, new carpet, and just encouraging them. But I have a meeting later today with budget, and one of the top priorities I want to talk about is dispatchers, right? I need them. We're authorized 64, and that's how many we should have. 2 years ago, we were in the 30s. That means people working extra shifts, staying over later, and that job is stressful enough. We've got to stay on the forefront and bring in the best talent, the best training, and make sure that we're compensating people for what they're doing. And that is my intent later this afternoon. And I will tell you, our city embraces that. I think we're going to have a great meeting, but I want to make sure that we're building and moving forward, not moving backwards or staying stagnant. You can't do that in public safety. You have to move forward. And our citizens deserve that. And so do the men and women who provide that service. How did I get off on that? Middletown, Ohio, Mallory. Cincinnati, Ohio, Fairfield, Hamilton, Princeton. That's where I played baseball, all that stuff growing up. So I know exactly where you're talking about. Jessica, that's great. I just wish I felt safe going to Virginia Beach, or I want to be able to drive down 64 without being worried to stay. Wow, Jessica, I appreciate that, and I get it. I will tell you, Virginia Beach, good friends with their chief there. They are committed. State Police Colonel Suttle, he's a mentor of mine. He's done several guest speaking engagements for us here in Newport News. And I will tell you, the 7 cities are working together to provide the best safety for our community. But what I need is the citizens, if you see something or hear something or think something, to share that with us, to get involved, right? To work with your local police. I'm not asking you to hold up a sign and say that you're the one that called the police. What I am asking you to do is reach out to us and tell us if you see something. If you see a vehicle, a license plate, a street corner, individuals that are engaged in some type of criminal activity or even suspected. I would rather go knock on the door and have a conversation and it be nothing, right? It'd be nothing at all than not to get involved and we're putting up crime scene tape at 2 o'clock in the morning. Everybody plays a role. Keith, sorry I missed you at the funeral. I'll see you at my May 22nd event in Ashland. And don't worry, no need for you to, yeah, you try to give me the dunk tank, man. But that is a great event. I look forward to being there. I appreciate that. Scroll back up for me a little bit.
That next one's spam.
Okay, got you. Am I all caught up?
You're
Am I good? So let me just kind of touch base a couple of things we have going on. We have, like I said, we've talked about our academy class that just graduated. We have 27 recruits in the class now, and my anticipation is to see 27 walk across that stage. We've got 28 right now hired for the academy that'll start next week in April, and I want to see a couple more in that class. We've got some laterals that are coming from other departments, and we've got some officers who had left. You know, maybe policing wasn't for them, and they wanted to try something different, and not going to other cities to do police work, but to just maybe get out that are coming back. We've got some officers who've been on military assignment that are coming back, and let me stop and pause right there. I want to thank the men and women in this department who serve in our military forces. I want to thank the military men and women in Fort Eustis, Langley, Naval Weapons Command, Navy, Norfolk, Shipbuild. Let me tell you, we are in the center. We are in the center. We build the best ships in the world here. Those aircraft carriers, best ships in the world. I want to thank men and women, currently and retired, that are in our armed services. I appreciate you. I thank you for the commitment you make to this country. And those that are in the armed services and work for the Newport News Police Department, I appreciate you. You matter. I just want to say thank you. I got to go out and meet the command staff of the Naval Weapons Command Station up in Yorktown yesterday. We just had a great time together, good conversation, great meal. I was just blown away, and we talked a lot about, housing that is in our communities. We talked about sailors that are stationed here for a while that live here in Newport News. We talked about technology. We talked about our crime center. I think they're going to come and look at our crime center. We talked about things that we can do together and sharing information. But it's just good to have open line of communication that I can pick up a phone and call him, and he can call me. That matters. That matters. Judy, we love keeping dispatchers and families in prayer. Wow. Judy, let me tell you something. I'm a man of faith. I cannot tell you the number of people call or email and tell us that they're praying for this department. I can also not tell you the number of pastors that call and encourage me. And I'm gonna get in trouble here, but Pastor Maxwell, Pastor Swan, Pastor Riddick, Pastor Tony of Calvary Chapel, Pastor Smalls, churches up and down Newport News that call their congregations that say they're praying for us. Do I think that makes a difference in our crime in our city? Yes. Do I think that's a crime fighting strategy to have people engaged in prayer? Absolutely. Do I think it matters when we walk in a community and we talk about maybe a critical incident that's happened somewhere at one of our schools or a community or a neighborhood? People come out there, chaplains, and start off with prayer? Yeah, I believe that makes a difference. Absolutely, I do. And I appreciate all those that pray for me for guidance and wisdom and pray for this community and our city. I do believe. I talk to city councilmen and talk about, hey, I know this group is praying for our city. I think that matters, and I embrace that. If you go back and look at our year-end press conference about number 3 down on bullets about what our strategy is going forward this year, prayer was one of them. And I appreciate those that engage in prayer. I think it matters. It makes a difference. And I appreciate the churches and the things that they do in our community, the encouragement that they give me, and what they do for the youth and in the communities that they surround. I got a call from a pastor that said, I think I'm going to start a soccer league. And I know you have any soccer coaches. We'll find you some soccer coaches. I don't know how much talented we're going to be, but we'll do it. Same thing with basketball or football, right? So when you say our family's in prayer, Judy, I appreciate that. Jessica, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. I think we're fortunate in this city. The relationship that we have with our mayor, our city manager, our city council, city councilmen and women, it is not like that everywhere. And I will tell you, they ask hard questions. They demand accountability and responsibility. And I appreciate that. I like being able to have open conversations with them. What are we doing about environmental officers? What is that program? Well, that's officers that are going to be assigned to a precinct captain that are going to address blight. One of the things that I want to do as we look about gun violence and violence in general, or crime, right? What is the perception? What does communities feel like in the neighborhoods they live? Well, we got poor lighting and our stop signs are bent down, and we got shrubs that are overgrowing some of our signs. We got cars on blocks that are sitting on the street. We got houses or apartments or buildings that are vacant that have been people are coming and going. They store firearms or are using the house for prostitution, or individuals who decide to get high with cocaine or heroin, or whatever it might be. Do we need to increase lighting? Maybe we just need to clean the lenses. Maybe we need to cut that shrubbery back and expose those signs. Let's get those vehicles that are broken down and got broken windows and are hazardous. Let's get them towed off the lot. Vehicles that are leaking oil on our city streets. Houses that are open, right? Let's get that grass cut and let's get them boarded up. Is that something we can do by ourselves? No. We're going to partner with Works and Utilities. We're going to partner with our code enforcement. I just had a conversation with our city assistant city manager Alan Arch, and we talked about addressing blight. That's going to be a strategy for us moving forward. I think it matters. Remember the old phrase in the 80s, the 70s and the 80s? That's going back a while. Some young people might be on here like, what's he talking about? But I can tell you, broken windows theory, that type thing. If you let a neighborhood go and the perception is that nobody cares, the perception of the citizens who live there is no one cares. The perception of city government might be, well, the citizens don't care what their neighborhood looks like. They're not calling and complaining. The police don't care. And the criminal element who don't even live there may come in and try to take advantage of people who do. I don't want that. I don't want the perception to be that we don't care. So I want those vehicles removed, and I want those houses boarded up. I want the grass cut back. I want to hold landlords or slumlords, if you will, accountable for the living conditions that people live in. I want to make those lights brighter. Maybe we need to put halogen lights in, or maybe we just need to clean the lenses off. But I think that blight plays a role. And if we leave that stuff set, if we leave trash sit, mattresses on a street corner where kids catch a bus and they see that, they get on the bus, they get off the bus. I don't want that. I don't want that. So we're going to work with Works and Utilities and our assistant city manager on how to address that. But that's a program we're going to start probably in January. We have one officer, Donald Grayhouse, who's working on it. Greathouse, who's working on that now. It's a pilot project, and I think it's made a difference. It's making a difference. Are there bumps in the road? Yes, absolutely. We're going to have problems? Yes. But that shouldn't set us back. Well, it's too much. Let's work through it and continue to move forward. Mattresses are getting picked up. Things are getting addressed. Houses being boarded up. We're not going to let people live in these living conditions, and holding people accountable. That's another strategy that we're going to use. Proactive approach to policing, reactive approach, high visibility, working with informants to address narcotics and illegal firearms, addressing blight, traffic enforcement. All those things play a role as we move forward. Some of the reporters asked, Chief, what are the things you're doing? We're staying consistent. We're adding new things, but we're staying consistent. We're getting citizens involved and staying consistent. What we cannot do is say gun violence is out of control, violence is out of control. What are we going to do? We just hide in our rooms and hide in our houses and our apartments? No. We're going to take this community back block by block. That is not a catchphrase. That is action that we're going to do. And I hope this community sees it. This time last year, we had 9 homicides in our city. 9 individuals lost their lives. 9 families were affected. 9 lives that affected this police department, our homicide division. Today, by the grace of God, we have 3. Out of those 3 homicides, 2 have been cleared, and they were both cleared within about 24 or 48 hours. We have 1 open, but we will clear that case. Now, I don't know what tomorrow holds or what today holds. Only one person does. But I know the detectives that respond on these shootings that are aggravated assault, our patrol, the response that they have in collecting information, setting up crime scenes, our homicide detectives that respond to work cases, our forensic technicians, our dispatchers who are getting as much information as they can. All that plays a role. That's how we're addressing violent crime in our city. We've got a lot of work to do. We're going to celebrate our wins and keep moving forward. But every person Any individual who suffers a gunshot wound, they matter to me. And any loss of life matters. It is not a statistic. It is a person, a community, a neighborhood. And it matters to me. It matters to this department. But I believe working together with our citizens and resources, how we respond to domestic violence, working with our fire department and clinicians on how we're doing a different response to individuals who have suffering some type of mental illness, or maybe just going through depression or feel suicidal, that we're able to change our response. Instead of having an officer walk through the door first, those that are nonviolent, that we're having clinicians and paramedics walk through a door first. And we become the second responders. Hiring social workers to work in our department. Those two ladies that we've hired that work evening shift have changed our response from 2.5 hours to 9 minutes after 5 o'clock. 9 minutes. That is a commitment. I pay them. They are civilian employees that were trained by Vin Thomas and her shop in human services, right? And they add a value. They work in this building, and they are impacting lives. They are making the response so much better, so much faster. And they train them. We pay them. They work here. They're great. But those are things that we're doing differently to address violence in our community. Let's see, Richard. Greetings from upstate New York. The wife and I will be in Newport News the end of May to visit my son's family. It would be great to be able to bring my grandson for a visit. Richard, I would love to meet your grandson. Let me know how old he is, but I would look forward to it. Please let me know when you're coming down, and I would love to meet you and look forward to it. Chief Drew, Judy, I appreciate that, and it matters. And I will tell you what, there's a group of pastors in this community. There's several congregations that they reassure me that it matters, right? And I am thankful for them. We have some tremendous synagogues and places of worship. I appreciate that, of numerous denominations. Am I caught up with everybody? 12:57. I'm doing pretty good. We will be posting fairly shortly. We have our memorial service for the 13 individuals that lost their lives and Newport News police officers. We have a memorial here at police headquarters. You walk in, you'll see their portraits up. If you walk in and look to your right, their faces are there. We have a monument down at City Hall where their names are etched in marble. They are on a wall in our state capitol up in Richmond. And then they're also on a wall in our nation's capital in D.C. We'll be sending officers up there for the memorial service next month. But we'll have our memorial service here. Watch us on Facebook and social media here. I'll be talking about it. We'll make sure that we send people out. But it's open to the community, and it'll be in the evening this year. We usually do it on the daytime. But we're going to change it. Some have suggested we go back to the evening and encourage citizens to come out and pay their respects to the 13 officers through the history of this department that gave their lives in the performance of the duty to serve the citizens of this great city. They deserve that. Sarah is putting together some great visuals, and she just does an amazing job. I'm surprised she's not working out in California on movies right now and doing videos. She does a great job. We talk a lot about music that we select or a song, and the images that she puts with it, or it tells a story. And each one she does outdoes the last, and this one is going to be amazing. But we will gather in just a few weeks and remember those who gave their life, who paid the ultimate sacrifice. We'll also remember some words you'll hear from me, and that those that are working in this profession, not just here, across the country. We just lost two officers at a school college shooting this year. We lost not Newport News, but they're still family, right? Other jurisdictions. And Rico just lost an officer involved in a tragic vehicle accident in the performance of his duties. You'll hear words from me that none of us know what's around the corner or what we'll face tomorrow. And any individual who puts on this uniform and says goodbye to his wife or their husband, their kids and their family, they don't know what tomorrow holds. And those that take an oath and want to do this job and are willing knowingly that they may be called to lay down their life for another. There is no greater service. So I hope that the community will join us. You'll see departments around will have different services. Ours is going to be special this year. They deserve it. And I hope that you join us. But we'll be sending out what church we're going to be at in our time, but it will be in the evening this year as opposed to the day shift, the daytime. And I hope that you will come. It speaks volume also to the men and women who do this job in our city and serve our community. You know, it might reminded of Jerry Luce, who we lost earlier this year, a sergeant in our South Precinct, who used to give me a hard time. We had some good conversations. But I will tell you, and I said it at his funeral, that when I got to a crime scene at 2 in the morning and Sergeant Luce was there, I knew things were in order. And I miss my friend. But he'll be one that we also recognize. Just some things special. I don't want to give too much away. I hope you'll join us. I hope you will. Tina, thank you. I appreciate you. That means a lot. I'm going to get ready to sign off here. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Sarah and Kelly. Helped me put this through today. The good Lord knows I couldn't pull this off without them. I want to thank our dispatchers, again, coming off of Telecommunicators Week, the work that you do. I want to thank our sworn and civilian that work in this department, whether they're at the training academy or our precincts, here at headquarters and records, our media relations, those that work in towing, do things behind the scenes. Again, our district, just phenomenal work. I want to thank the men and women who are doing the job in this department, from homicide detectives, aggravated assault, special victims, all the detectives on the second floor. I want to thank our forensic technicians for the crime scenes they process, the things that they see. I want to thank our SWAT team, that calls that they go out on, life-threatening, the worst, most dangerous situations that we have. I want to thank our drone team, our patrol officers, those who work midnight shift, evening and daytime. I want to thank the sergeants who supervise and take on the responsibility for 10, 12 officers that fall underneath them. Internal affairs, and make sure that we're doing things right and we're being open and transparent. I want to thank our 3 assistant chiefs. I think I have the best command staff in the nation. Chief Grinstead, who I give him a hard time, he's been here, 200 years. But his heart and soul are in this community. Chief Hires and Chief Creswell, who are revamping the way we recruit, and revamping the way that we investigate and use technology. People who do the budget here that make sure that we're spending money the right way. You know, we look at crime numbers, we look at statistics and data. We do the same thing looking at money. Are we being good with our citizens' tax dollars? How are we looking at overtime? Where are we spending that money at? And are we showing a benefit? We're not just throwing it away. If we're going to spend money here, are we seeing measurables? And let's compare our overtime money and our dollars from currently this year to how we did this time last year. Or do we need to make changes and tweak things? I want to thank all the assistants that work for the different chiefs. This is a great family-oriented organization, and people who work here matter. The best thing we have are the people that we serve in this community, in this city. I appreciate the work that you do, those that are in grassroots organizations, and those that are in churches and community. I appreciate the relationship I have with Dr. Parker, Rashard Wright, in our schools. It matters. Appreciate Rob Coleman and Hal, the things that you're doing at the Boys and Girls Club and the United Way and YMCA. All those entities make things better in this community. Do we get it right? Are we perfect? Absolutely not. Am I our worst critic? Yes. But we strive to do better each day, and that is what makes all the difference. Thank you all for being hanging out with me today, this afternoon. We'll do this again at 6 o'clock this evening, right, Sarah? We'll be back at 6. Keith, thank you so much, man. Did you tell me to go? Oh, you're saying you got to go back to work. I thought you were telling me to go back to work. It's like, man, I'm working. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for all that you do. We'll do this again at 6 o'clock. Be safe. I love you all, and take care of one another. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.